G'day guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Boundary Riders podcast. Of course, so much to talk about today. A lot of news has dropped over the last 24 hours. Of course, the surprise quitting of John Longmire as the Sydney Swans head coach, the surprise retirement of Brad Crouch, and of course we're going to be breaking down a little bit of information around the draft that just happened last week, and we will be talking about the Kayo Call Up news that came out last week as well. So let's roll the intro and get straight into it. And then Rankin from the pocket, don't tell me, Isaac Rankin!
Yeah.
He's just got the license for a brothel.
Well, I think Gather Round's going to be for AFL this next season.
It's at the handle at the back, Nick Dacos to get the pies home! He's done it! So as always, guys, my brother is here joining me. You're the one who sent me the news. I was at work this morning, and you sent me the news that John Longmire is quitting the Sydney Swans. I love how they use quitting. It just makes it sound a little bit more, just a little bit more dire, I guess was the word.
Headline grabber.
Yeah, I did love that Tom Morris used that word specifically, and other people were just saying that he's standing down. But anyway, your first initial thoughts. I mean, obviously I have my thoughts. I'll get into in a minute. John Longmire, long-time Sydney Swans coach. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, longest serving Sydney Swans coach. 14 years, 12 years at the playing finals out of that 14 years. A huge legacy. Maybe not in terms of grand finals, but he will go down as one of the greatest coaches.
Yeah, I believe so. I think that maybe, obviously, like record books and stuff, you know, best coaches full time do look at premierships, and that's totally fair. I think most Swan supporters will always remember him as like an all-time great coach, and well, most of them anyway. Obviously, a big hole was lost when Paul Roos did leave, and let John Longmire take over. In his second year, he got a premiership. Since then, he's been able to keep Sydney like as one of the pinnacle teams in the comp. So I think that he deserves so much praise for the way he went about things, keeping the club at a high standard for so many years. Obviously, when he did decide to, in the interview or the press conference today, he did say that he's going to be still working at the Sydney Swans. So what was the job? Do you remember? It was an executive performance manager or something.
Director.
Yeah. Got a bunch of buzzwords or whatever, which basically is just there to something to do with performance or whatever. I was a bit surprised by that. I thought that he would take a year off, similar to Alistair Clarkson, and then be looking for another head coaching role. I will be very surprised if he's not in a job in 24 months. I'm going to be honest. I think that they've obviously got the Tassie team, and there's going to be another. I think there could be 2 or 3 jobs open at the end of off season next year. Yeah, I could see it. I mean, a long way away. Obviously, Josh Carr's the prime prospect for Port Adelaide. Would you like John Longmire as the head coach of the Power? I mean, he could get you to a grand final. Premiership's a bit of an iffy one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, it would be interesting. I think he'd be a great coach for any team that he goes to.
Yeah, I think a team like Tassie, if they do bring him in, would just be a perfect match because he's obviously got so much experience on keeping long-term success.
Yeah.
And he's also shown that he can rebuild a team quickly. So I wouldn't be surprised if John Longmire is a coach of someone very soon. I don't think it's the wrong choice of Sydney. I don't think it's a bad thing for Sydney, though. I still think that Dean Cox is going to be a great coach. He's been waiting in the wings for a long time now. And I think Sydney it is about time that Sydney probably just had a fresh voice. Not to say that, and I mean, it's not exactly a huge change. I mean, he's been there for so long. Sydney have been one of the few clubs who have been basically able to have a successor. I mean, I can't remember. There wouldn't be many sports teams in the world who would be able to have successive coaches just come from the ranks like as an apprenticeship and then just take over when the leaving coach is there. Usually they come in and bring their own thoughts and processes and stuff, and I think that it's a real credit to the Sydney Swans that they've been able to do it. And I know I'm a Swan supporter, I'm going to be a bit praising of them, but there wouldn't be many clubs or sporting organisations in the world who'd be able to do that. I mean,
it also doesn't normally work either.
No.
As we've seen that, like with Melbourne, it didn't work. Well, it has worked. It has worked. Sorry, in some instances, sometimes it doesn't.
I mean, even thinking world sport, like when Sir Alex Ferguson left for Manchester United, and then David Moyes took over. Is that the way it took? Yeah, I think that was one that took over. He was like the long-term thought process of going after it, and Manchester United haven't been the same since.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a couple of like examples. It can work on some things, and it's very interesting that the two that you name are Paul Roos associated. So Melbourne was pretty good; they got their premiership, and then Sydney obviously with Paul Roos, and then moving to John Longmire. It'll be interesting to see how Dean Cox goes. Seems like he's a little bit more laid back, especially in the coach's box. He seems like he would be I think he'd be able to connect with the players. It seems like that's a good sign. The one thing that obviously John Longmire does have, though, is the fact that he was always a father figure to all the players. That's something that a lot of Swans players would say, is that like he's like a father to us. So that will be interesting to see if Dean Cox can bring a different avenue to his coaching. I'll be interested to see. So I think that he was obviously going to be the candidate. I mean, maybe it would have been Leon Cameron, Don Pike when he was there. Maybe would have been an option, but I think Dean Cox will do a good job for Sydney, and I don't see many problems. I will be interested to see how Sydney go in 2025, though, because it was a bit of an interesting timing, I would say. Because, I mean, I don't think many people... I mean, you would have expected it that maybe a couple of weeks after the grand final, if he was going to do it this time, but to wait all the way until the end of the draft...
To pronounce the start of pre-season. Saying it's the start of pre-season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't exactly mind the timing, but it is a bit strange. You would expect that it would have happened a bit sooner.
Well, like you heard in the press conference, he was saying that it's been in the works for about 18 months. It started the mid-season last year that this was sort of coming to an end.
Yeah.
So it's not like Tom Harley and Pridham and all that didn't see it coming, or even Dean Cox. He's like, well, I think that, like you said, it was family reasons, which probably is a reason, but I think he knew that it wasn't long until he was going to get the job.
Well, the thing is as well, John Longmire had the contract until the next year, right? And he basically, he said in the conference that the 2025 season was going to be his last anyway. So Dean Cox would have known that. Maybe he wouldn't have known that he was going to come in this year.
Yeah.
Maybe that's probably what it was. But he would have known in the background. He'd be like, look, you're taking over. And you could even kind of tell, like, Dean Cox was always next to him in the coach's box, always, talking to him and that sort of stuff. It's been in the works for a while. I think that was something that I wanted to bring up as well. So there was a report from SEN. It was from Scott Cummings in the WA SEN, apparently. He said that he can categorically say that there's been a handshake agreement in place for a long time. They never knew when John Longmire was going to leave, but the call was his to make. So I'm not surprised that... I wouldn't have been surprised if that was made a while ago, that sort of call. John Longmire's been there 14 years, would have been 15 years next year. It is a very long time. And, you think about it, like Alistair Clarkson, like nothing to take away from him. But when he left Hawthorn, they were kind of on the down. John Longmire's still got Sydney going in a good direction. Now, hopefully, knock on wood for Sydney, they don't go down for a bit here. Who knows? But, Alistair Clarkson was on a bit of the down, so it was not really a surprise when, eventually he got taken, he moved on. It is a little bit, I think it's shocked a lot of people because, yes, he's lost 4 grand finals in a row. It's not a very good look, but, they just showed, one of the things I saw was like his win record was the second highest ever from any coach. I think it was 62%. So, and if you think about it, if it wasn't for those couple of years when Sydney were down the bottom for a bit, 2019, 2020, it could have been it could have been the highest. Yeah. So, a legacy that he's given as a coach is amazing. I would be shocked if he's not done coaching. So I think that he will be back very shortly. I think that he'll be doing this new job at Sydney. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes on to go and do it in 2026. Because the Tassie Devils come in 2028, is that right? Or 2027? Yeah. It's one of those 2 years. So whenever that is, I wouldn't be surprised if John Longmire takes over the Tassie job. I think that's where he's going to be cited first. personally, I think that's where he's going to be. A lot of talk's been about Nathan Buckley in previous months, and even Chris Scott. So I think that John Longmire, especially if he doesn't have a job at that point, like as a head coach, I think that he'll be the first candidate off the ranks. Because, I mean, I think as well, they wouldn't... I mean, it's not like they wouldn't want to poach someone from another club, the Tassie Devils, but if they've got a candidate there who doesn't have a job, and he's got the resume that he does, you might as well go and have a look at it. I think as well, the Tassie will be looking at the Giants blueprint a little bit on the side of like picking a really experienced coach to start things off, and then potentially move on into a younger coach like they did with Leon Cameron. So, again, this is all speculation. Who the hell knows? Maybe he won't coach again and he'll, love this new job. But I just doubt it. What do you think will happen with him?
I think that he may not coach for a while. I don't know. He may get lured to do the Tassie job. I think it will be that sort of job that you're going to be the first coach, the inaugural coach of that team. That you might want to take it and do what the Giants did. Get an experienced coach, a lot of youth, and build it up like that father figure type coach and evolve them into that team.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't think the Tassie team, they basically have been like cited as they have to be successful pretty quickly.
Straight away,
Yeah, so but I do agree that they want an experienced coach. I think that the Gold Coast, not that they had a huge problem as well. It was a clusterfuck. So there was obviously other problems than the coach, but Guy McKenna was like a very first young coach. And to be honest, I don't think he did that bad, to be honest with you. I think he actually was pretty decent, and he just got pushed out of the way because Gary Ablett, I feel like that was like a big reason Gary Ablett wasn't a really big fan of him. And they picked up Rodney Eade, and that didn't go very well either. And they picked up Stuart Dew, and that kind of tapered off as well, even though he's their most successful coach. So anyway, Gold Coast are a rabble. That's basically what I'm getting to. But yeah, congratulations to John Longmire. Great career. Had a career. Well done. Congratulations. He's one of the big factors in one of the best moments of my life. So, congratulations, John. Thank you, John, for all the memories. 2012 Premiership, one of my best memories of all my life. Top 5, he'd be up. Oh, top 3. I'll give him top 3. I'll give 2012 Premiership, 2012 Premiership. The moment, I still remember this. You probably do too.
Yeah,
we were sitting on the couch, we were watching it. Nick Malcheski snaps it towards goal, and was it I tackled you, or you tackled? Yeah, I think I tackled you onto the couch when he kicked the goal in celebration. So, those memories will last for a lifetime, and he's been a great coach. I wish there was a couple more premierships in there, but that's okay. I personally don't think he'll be far away from another job. Anyway. Let's move on from that. Congratulations, John Longmire. Something that you were shocked by. I said this in the intro. You didn't even know it. I would have cut it out. But Brad Crouch retired. So you didn't know this.
No, I didn't know this before we started doing this. No.
Okay. So Brad Crouch has retired from the Saints. I'm going to be honest with you, and this is nothing against the guy. He wasn't footy fit, I'll be honest. He wasn't like footy fitness when he's doing his exit, his goodbyes. So I don't know why he was still on the list.
Well, he was rookie listed, wasn't he?
Well, no, but why? They just wasted that rookie spot because he's just retired.
Well, they can use it as a supplement. Because what will happen is that they'll take him out.
Yeah, but surely he hasn't made this decision in the last 2 hours. He's like, you know what, boys? Thanks for redrafting me, but I'm going to be honest. I want to retire.
Yeah.
Like, why did he get delisted? Why didn't he just retire a couple of weeks ago? Surely this has been when he got delisted, he should be like, look, don't worry about it. Why did he get... I don't really know the point here. But he has officially retired. It is a bit saddening because he was a very good player at Adelaide. And, obviously had a little bit of a bad ending to his career at Adelaide, obviously with the drugs issue and that sort of stuff. Then got moved to St Kilda and had a decent year or two there, but just never really came back to his best.
No.
He was always being touted as one of the better... I remember when he got... around that period when he got drafted, he was touted as one of the best young talents coming through. Just never really lived up to it, I would say.
No, I think it was more that he was drafted there on a good reputation and just couldn't really do it at the Crows often. And then all that speculation happened and all that news came out.
Well, he would have been there when the camp happened too.
Yeah.
So that's also a factor.
Yeah, which may be interesting in the next couple of years, but...
Yeah, well, who knows?
Yeah, I think there's some more stuff to be heard about that one.
The camp?
About his retirement. I think there'll be more stuff coming out about it. But
I've been doing a research on Adelaide Crows video, and there's already been a lot of players who have came out about the camp. Bryce Gibbs, Eddie Betts, of course, probably the biggest one. Josh Jenkins. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there wouldn't be much else to tell, to be honest. I feel like Eddie Betts was the big spill, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. He was one of the players. He left a little bit later than a lot of the big exodus in 2019, but yeah. It's interesting though, because I mean, Matt Crouch is still at the Adelaide Crows. He's only, I think, a year or two younger than him. A little bit different players. I always liked how Brad Crouch went about it. Yeah, just never really got a good run at it at St Kilda. Last year he played in round 1 and then didn't play for the rest of the year through a couple of injuries, and yeah, just never really got back to it. And it's really unfortunate for a guy who, you know, had the potential but just never really hit it. I mean, if he was expected to be one of the top players in the competition and maybe reached near that point, maybe touching his toenail inside that line for a year or so, around that period
around their premiership window they had.
Grand final, premiership. Grand final. It was rigged because it was the MCG. Okay, bro. Okay, bro. So another news as well. I wanted to bring this up because it's a good story. It was unfortunate that he didn't get picked up in the draft. It's Dom Brew. So if you don't know who this is, he is a part of Werribee team who won the premiership. Quite an older guy. I think he's 27 years of age. So he's been around the mark of the VFL for a very long time. He won the VFL's Best and Fairest in 2024. Unfortunately, he didn't get the same luck as Sean Manor the year before. So he's unfortunately didn't get picked up in the draft. He had a huge speech after the game that was very heartwarming. And he's also been reported that he's tried to message other clubs, trying to, you know, just say he will do anything to get onto an AFL list. Didn't get picked up in either of the drafts, but the Western Bulldogs have decided to let him train with them over the off-season in hopes that he could maybe join the list. I love these sort of stories, and it would be really good to see. I'm surprised Geelong hasn't talked to him. Oi, you're a bit young for us. 27's a bit young. But no, I like that sort of story, and I hope he gets a go. I mean, let's be honest. The midfield depth of the Bulldogs is fucking shot now. They just everyone's like, get me the fuck out of here. So this guy's like desperate to play footy. He'll play anywhere. Luke, just sign the guy.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, that's a good story. And, you know, Sean Manor, how good an end of the season did he have for the Cats? He was one of their better players towards the end of the year. He was one of their top-rated players.
Yeah, especially, in the final series, the two games they played in the qualifying and prelim.
Yeah, so who knows? I mean, he could very well jump into a team like that and just, I mean, not dominate, but I could see him in the team. I mean, you think of the Bulldogs lineup, Liberatore, Bontempelli, and then Ed Richards, who's running through there at the moment, Treloar as well. You've got Matt Kennedy. He's probably that sort of type. But, you know, I mean, I could definitely see him playing as that sort of role. It was like second string midfield as a forward player as well. He kicked some goals for Werribee this year. So, you know, I mean, I know he's a bit older, but I don't think that's a massive deal anymore. I think that you can pick up a player who can play a 5-year career and still have an impact for a team. I think now as well, like, when people think about like the standard of like being an AFL player, it has to be so high. That's why I have an issue with the rookie draft, like, to be honest, because I think the rookie draft should be used to test players that you don't know, but you want to, you can risk a list spot for them and not put a random player that like has played 300 games for you, and it's like, look, we don't really want to get rid of you because we could use you as like depth, but we can't afford to pay $300,000 for salary. So, I think that's what the rookie draft should be for, and it shouldn't be to re-rookie players either. No, I think that there should be even if it's, well, I mean, if you think about it, I think it's the NFL. They have a secondary lineup that, you know, you can just pick out a player from there. They just sign them to the main list when there's a lot of injuries. So that's what they should have, a second lineup, or I don't know what they call it, but they can have a secondary squad to pick from. And that's where your rookies would go. But also, then you have a veterans list. Like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, a veterans list would be a good idea. But, I mean, you can't have Toby Pink on a veterans list, can you? Well,
the thing is, I think for a rookie list, it should be a list. The rookie list should be that you've played less than 4 years in the AFL system. or less than 50 games, either or, and you can be in that list.
Yeah.
Like, so then a person like Toby Capeng can go onto the rookie list.
Yeah.
And gets, and you want to develop these kids, develop this player into a Gunston type instead of putting Gunston on the fucking rookie list.
Yeah, exactly. And then last year their Swans put Sam Reid on there, and eventually he just retired.
Well, and then you look at players like the Swans did in Joel Hamling and Aaron Francis.
Yeah.
They've been on the list for AFL list for 8+ years.
Well, they're above it. They've been on there for 10 plus years now. So they could go on a veterans list if they wanted to. Like, yeah,
Well,
I mean, I
even-
agree with you. That,
yeah.
Like, maybe a rookie list should be like 50 games, 4 years on a list. If you've played over that, then you either get to a point where you can go to a veterans list or something, which maybe a veterans list is a little bit more money than a rookie drafted player. But that's why, I mean, people say, like, you know, there's not enough talent to fill a 19th team. I mean, if you think about players that have came off a rookie list and have been like star players of the game, like, surely when they were drafted, if people knew how good they were going to be, they would have been drafted in the regular draft.
Yeah.
So a rookie draft is a way to see if someone's got the talent, but you don't want to risk a list spot. So that's what I think the rookie draft should be for. And I think sometimes it's not used fairly. Well, not fairly, because I mean, it's not illegal to do what they're doing, but just not used the way I think it's intended.
Yeah.
So when players like this guy, like, I don't think there should be an age limit on the rookie list, but you could put Dom Brew on the rookie list because he's not played an AFL game, he's not been on an AFL list. Give him a go on the rookie list. The guy would I mean, he may get no games. Who knows? But he could play a Sean Manor role. He could play, like, Sean Manor, as long as he keeps on going the way he's going, he's going to play 150 games. He got picked up at, 25, 24 or something? So a little bit older AFL standard.
It's just a mature age pick.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Stewart was picked up at age 23, I think, or 22.
Yeah, 22.
And he's going to be a 250 game player. He's like almost got the record for the most all Australians as well.
Yeah.
So you can pick up a player at an older age who can play as a rookie, and then, you know, but that's taken away because players like the Swans, for example, they picked up, with their 4 rookie listed players, they picked up, well, one person. The other 3 have already been on an AFL list before and have played over 50 games. Yeah. Because they picked up Ben Patton as well. And I actually think Sydney did well to pick him up. I think he could be a decent player for them. But again, do they deserve to take away a spot that could potentially be for someone who's never had a spot, could have the potential to be a really, really good player, but just has never had the shot, or just doesn't have, like, the marks on the recruiter, like, saw on their fitness things. It's like, oh, their 20-meter sprint was just a little bit low. I don't know if I trust that. It's like, yeah, but I'm sure Sean Manor didn't have that sort of like sprint speed, but the guy was averaging 30 disposals and 3 goals a game for Werribee in the VFL. So yeah, I just think that's the case, and I think that's why when people make the excuse of potential, like the Tassie team or that sort of stuff, or players like are in the VFL that want to go up, or the Sandful or whatever league, I think that there is a reason for the rookie draft and it's not being utilised properly.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe people think I'm an idiot and think, all players should just be rotated on the rookie list all the time. I feel like people would have a pretty big issue with the rookie list, how it's going.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, so the draft happened last week. I just wanted to quickly go over the report card from Fox Sports on every single team's draft hand and how they went with it. So they've gone the Crows are the B+. I mean, I'd say that's pretty fair. They got Sid Draper.
It's more... Yeah, they got Sid Draper. They got Walsh's son. Walsh's son. Yeah, it's like, yeah, B+. Probably give them that. Yeah.
Oh, I think it's fair enough. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like outstanding, but I mean, I think it's a decent grab. And I mean, they picked up an SA boy who could play round 1. Yep. So I think it's pretty decent. Yeah. Brisbane Lions, that's obvious.
It's a bit bullshit.
If anything, it's A+. I mean,
it's A+, really. They got,
they
got
everyone
they wanted. Yeah, they got what they wanted, and they're coming off a premiership. Like,
I'd say it's an A+. Carlton got a B+. I mean, yeah, fair enough. I mean,
Yeah, they got the midfielder, Jagger Smith.
Jagger Smith. If I'm calling a Carlton game next year, he's got the moves like Jagger. I'm going to try and call that first. Well, I mean, that's pretty obvious anyway. Collingwood got a C+.
Because they have such a...
Yeah, but I mean, they're not
picks,
going for the draft. So they don't care about that. Essendon with a B. Yeah, I don't know about that.
I think there's more... everyone's talking about the fact that Kako was picked, that they traded the pick for a later pick, and that if they picked up pick 9, they could have picked Kako up earlier. But I don't know how it really works, but I think everyone's overreacting to it. I think that's a fair grade for Essendon.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, they didn't do much else, and they did trade away their first round pick this year for a future round next year. So I don't know. Fair enough. Fremantle got B-.
I don't know why they picked up another ruckman.
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
It seems like it's only because he's from the Waffle anyway. I think he's Claremont, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, they kind of did because the Gold Coast picked up their other one that they re-rookied, and I like that from the Suns because they stole one of Fremantle delisted a ruckman, but then we're going to pick him up as a rookie. I think it was Matt Noble, I think his name is. But then Gold Coast swooped in and stole him. And that's exactly what I like about it, because fucking don't put someone on a fucking rookie list if you don't trust them to play on your team. Like, I mean, I get that like they didn't want to pay him more and all that sort of bullshit, but if the Gold Coast are there to grab him, then just do it. So
it happened to Gold Coast a couple of years ago with
Hugh Greenwood as well.
Yeah.
After that is Geelong C+. They didn't do shit. They know they didn't have to.
They don't need the draft anyway.
They don't need it anyway. Gold Coast B. Oh, I'd go B+. I mean, Leo Lombard pretty good, but I mean they didn't do
picked
much
up their other academy, so
yeah. GWS B-. Yeah, I mean I feel like they did okay. Hawthorn C. Yeah, I mean they didn't do anything. Melbourne B. I mean, I did like the Langford pickup. I think that's pretty good, and I think they could definitely add to it. North Melbourne C-. Yeah, that was very weird. Why did they trade their future first rounder to Richmond for Matt Whitlock? What pressure that kid's got now? Because let's be honest, and I mean, no offense to North Melbourne fans, but I can't see them finishing above the bottom 4 next year. So basically what they've done is they've gone, hey, Richmond, do you want 2 picks inside the top 5? And Richmond were like, are you fucking serious?
Sure.
Is this a prank call?
I was like, sure.
Yeah. I mean, we'll think about it. And they just took it.
Yeah.
Like, obviously they were going to take that. Now, Matt Whitlock could well be star forward.
The next Nick Larky to...
I mean, he could be.
He could be the best duo in the competition, but...
I mean, you're trading away a top 4 pick for
seems
Matt
like they've
Whitlock.
done it again North Melbourne fucking up their draft hand for...
It just seems a bit strange to me. I don't know. Anyway, Port Adelaide got an A. I did like the pickup of Joe Berry. Yeah,
Joe Berry.
Star.
Whitlock's brother, Jack Whitlock.
And they didn't have to trade away their future first either for a Whitlock, so that's pretty good.
I think that because only a couple of days after the draft, he came out and said that he's looked at who overlooked him. It's kind of like with the player from Freo who was overlooked until pick 17.
Yeah, Murphy Reid. Yeah.
I think having that little determination and be like, I'm looking back at who didn't pick me, and I'm going to show that determination to show you, everyone else, why I should have been picked earlier.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind that, and I think that Joe Berry's a really good pickup. We talked about it last week or the week before, about how he sets up his game a lot like Robbie Gray.
Yeah.
So if that's what Port Adelaide need as well. And I mean, if a young kid can come in at 18, play as a really dangerous small forward, similar to like how Zach Butters started and Connor Rosie started as well.
That's what they're saying. He's that Robbie Gray type that's sort of like Zach Butters and Zach Butters and Connor Rosie, but they can play a similar role.
Yeah.
And as an early 18-year-old, I just hope we give them the games, especially like because Port Adelaide haven't really had the tendency to play draftees.
Yeah, that's true.
In recent years.
Yeah, I mean, they very tentatively have given games to Josh Sin, who's been one of the highest draftees in the last few years.
You can say like the players like Zach Butters and all that have given games. Well, that's because we didn't have many midfield depth. We had to do it. But recently, like since Josh Sin, we haven't really put in games. Like Logan Evans came in after and
he was a mid-season draftee.
Yeah,
and look how good he was as well.
So I hope we put him in early and we develop them straight away.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he's earning them. And I mean, if he seems like he's had a very good head on his shoulders. I think that Port Adelaide need to just chuck a couple of them in there. And not, I mean, Port Adelaide at the point, they finished top two. So top four, sorry, not top two. In the fight this year. So if they, can just a couple of players, I don't know how well they did in the trade period, to be honest. But if Joe Richardson can play up forward with Willie Rioli, and then Sam Powell-Pepper's back there as well, Joe Berry could fit in there as a fourth. I think that's very well. And then Mitch Georgiades, Ollie Lord, and Todd Marshall are the ones, obviously, as the tools. That's your seven you're looking for. So I think that's definitely how Port Adelaide can set up going into next year, and off Jack Lukosius as well, wherever they want to chuck him. Next up is Richmond, A+. I mean, that's pretty obvious.
Had so many picks.
Let's be honest, unless they... and the fact that they got a first-round pick for next year, that gives them an A+.
Yeah, you pretty much A+ easy.
Yeah. St Kilda, B+. Yeah, I mean, they did okay with their 2 picks. I think the tall defender that they picked up, he was the top prospect for tall defenders. I think that'll be a pretty good pickup. And Travalia as well, looks like he's going to be good off halfback. So,
well, did you think it was funny how they got 2 people that kind of look like a younger Nick Rowell? They kind of look like, well, maybe this is the way. This is the formula.
Well, I mean, they put all their eggs in Paddy McCartan's basket and said he's going to be the next Nick Rewell, and that didn't really pan out. So they've gone, instead of going for someone that we think is going to be Jack Rewell, we're going to get people that look like Nick Rewell. Sydney got a C-. That's the worst with North Melbourne. What did Sydney do? They didn't do that bad, did they? I mean, they didn't pick up a rookie. They didn't pick up one of their academy players, which I thought was strange. But they also picked up Mac Andrews' brother, which, I mean, let's be honest. Younger brothers are a little bit worse than their older brothers. So, I mean, Mac Andrews is the highest paid player in the AFL. So, this guy could play like 150 games. Who knows? Just throw a little bit of shade at you that way. But, yeah, I mean, I was very surprised that Sydney got, equal worse. What did they do? I don't think they did much. I mean, you think about it, Hawthorn got a C, and they didn't have any picks inside the first 40 or something. Yeah. Or they had 1 or something, and so did Collingwood. Anyway, not that it really matters, but... Anyway, West Coast got an A+.
Well, it's really funny how if they get rid of pick 3 and they've still got Bo Allen.
They got very lucky.
That's what everyone's saying is that if they didn't pick up Bo Allen, everybody in West Coast, all their supporters would have been absolutely pissed.
Yeah. Because West Coast were basically banking on him to come to the club, and they were when they got him, they would have been pretty fucking happy with that. They
were lucky that because there was a chance that Port were going to go up the draft order.
There was also talk as well that Richmond would look at him too.
Yeah. So they were scared that because Freo were going to avoid it, but they wanted to get in front of Port Adelaide West Coast because of that reason, because they knew that Port Adelaide were looking at him. So they were trying to do it, but yeah.
I think they did well in the end. Port Adelaide, what they did, and I think the Fremantle did well what they did as well. So I think that all parties considered did pretty well. And finally, the Western Bulldogs got a C+. I mean, I don't really know. They picked up 1 player and in the top 20 with that Bailey Smith pick, and who knows? Could be a good player, could not be. Western Bulldogs are a pretty similar team to Port Adelaide. They don't really play their draftees very often, unless I can't really think of many top draftees other than... I mean, Riley Sanders, they did play last year, but very tentatively.
He's very much because all the fans were saying he's dominating in the VFL, play him for God's sake.
Yeah, fine, whatever, we'll just play him. And then he played, decent. Anyway.
And then he played more of a sub than anything.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, so that's basically the report card for the AFL draft. The top pick was Richmond and West Coast. The lowest was Sydney and North Melbourne. Let us know down below if you think Sydney was the fucking worst. Obviously it's North. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, yes, they picked up Finn O'Sullivan. That's a great pickup for the second pick. But to trade away your future first-round pick for Matt Whitlock, again, he could be a very good player. He very well could be. But is it, you're trading away... Let's say you're basically trading away pick 4 for pick 27. I don't know. Just seems very strange. And Jack Darling's there as well. So, maybe they're there. They wanted him so that he could learn under Nick Larkey and Jack Darling. I don't know, but it just seemed like a very strange pick, and everyone's just roasting them for it. Anyway, who do you think was the winner of the draft? I think it was probably Richmond.
Yeah, well, Richmond's pretty up there. I'm happy with Port Adelaide, what they did. They got what they wanted. They got some surprise picks that probably shouldn't have been where they were picked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to be interesting for like a team like Collingwood who they've went straight for now. What's it going to be like if something drastic happens?
Yeah.
And I think the one team that I think is going to be interesting is an Essendon type because they've lost a bit of experience. They've went a bit more to the draft.
Well, they went for the draft, you could say, but they picked up Isaac Hacker. Who else did they pick up? They didn't really pick up anyone else, and they didn't do anything in the trade period or the draft or the free agency period this time. So they've done really nothing.
Yeah, it's the sort of with the Swans as well, though. That's the thing. The Swans and Essendon have sort of played this sort of similar trade period. A post-season period.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say about Sydney is because they want to try and save as much money as they can for Chad Warner, I feel like this year, to try and keep him. I think that's what the big one is, because Sydney have been able to keep a lot of their younger players at the club, like Logan McDonald, Errol Goulden, and other ones like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they were looking at. I'll be interested to see what happens with Sydney next year as well, of course, with Dean Cox joining. But let's move to the final thing I wanted to talk about today, which was the Kayo Call Up. So this was announced on Thursday, I think it was last week, when they announced that Kayo would be opening up a pseudo apprenticeship for someone in the AFL community space that would like to have a job as someone at Fox Footy. So as an analyst, as a on-call commentator, as a host, as a boundary writer. Hint, we are Boundary Writers YouTube channel. I should have said that in the fucking thing. Moron. I just realised that. Anyway, but they could offer a paid on-air role during Fox Footy Super Saturday. This is for the first 8 rounds. Oh, also you can be a statistician, but I mean, I don't know. You could be if you wanted to be. So the official write-up of it is 2025 is set to be our biggest year yet. Fox Footy on Kayo Sports and Foxtel is only place to... Oh, fuck off. Saturdays for the first 8 rounds. Enjoy every match ad-free for the first year, whatever, with exclusive commentary and cutting-edge graphics. Why are you writing this? I don't even know why I read that. Anyway, you should have told me not to. To celebrate, Kayo Sports is offering one lucky fan or aspiring broadcaster the chance to join the action with a paid-on role during Fox Footy Super Saturday coverage in 2025. If you've been dreaming of being a commentator, statistician, host, or boundary writer, this is your opportunity to do so. Entries open Wednesday, the 20th of November, and close on the 11th of December. So that's when they're going to be met. And the announcement of the winner will be in the week commencing on the 17th of February 2025.
You've already got that booked in.
So I've got that booked in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'll put it in. I thought it'd be a bit of fun. I mean, obviously I would love to get it, but I've got my, expectations pretty low, like so many people who are going to be going for it. So I'm not exactly I'm not going to be sitting there going, guys, I've got the job or whatever. Did you think the resume thing was alright, the TikTok that I put out? Because I didn't realise it had to be 30 seconds.
I think it would, yeah. I think you picked the right moment, and I think you did, yeah, I think it was right.
Yeah, because I wanted to pick a goal, but I was going to put in an extra highlight, but I just thought maybe a little bit of difference would be to add that little TikTok, but I couldn't even put the whole fucking thing in because it's only 30 seconds. So I just added a little bit to it. I think it's a really cool prospect. They did do something similar to this a couple of years ago when they allowed a kid to do some commentating for a pre-season game. I remember it. And I thought it was pretty cool back then. It is obviously 18 plus, so they do want someone to be like an adult, an actual person to do it. I'll be interested to see what happens with it. I mean, I'd love to get it, but no matter who gets it, I'm sure it will be a person who's right for the role. I've seen a couple of content creators trying to get involved as well. But that's why I've tempered my expectations a lot more as well. It's because I've seen some actual state league commentators and stuff trying to apply, so I feel like that's I kind of thought at first I just had tunnel vision of it's going to be a couple of commentators or YouTube and stuff, and I feel like not to flog myself off or anything, but I feel like I'm actually pretty decent at it. But when you're comparing yourself to state league commentators who get paid to do it already, so that's
for me. You'd like it to be someone who isn't a state league person that does it, even a person who does even if it's a person who does the reserve state league, the ones that do country footy, and commentate the A grades at the end of the year for the A grades, B grades, and all that sort of people. Someone like that. They would never dream of doing it for professionally and gets the chance to do it professionally for 8 weeks or so.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I just don't know. I mean, the thing is as well, if they were to pick someone that's like a VFL level, I feel like that'd be the easy option because they've already had the training you would expect to do things like. I mean, obviously, commentating doesn't exactly take a lot of skill. It's not that it doesn't take a lot of skill, but I mean, I think it's. If you have a good knowledge for the game and you know the players' names, as long as you bring some personality to the call, I feel like you've got a good baseline. Let's just put it that way.
That's a lot more than Channel 7's broadcasting, right?
I'll be interested to see how fucking Channel 7 go next year. Kane Corn's already made one little statement about John Longmire, and they said, I feel like there was a little bit of tension there. It's like, bro, the guy was crying. Like, if there was tension there, why would he still have a job at the Swans? Anyway. Good on you, Kane. Fucking. Ugh. See, that's the thing. I don't mind him as well, but as soon as he says something about the Swans, I'm like, oh, you fucking cunt. So I feel like that's like most people. And you probably love him because he never says a bad name about Port.
He wouldn't.
Yeah, he wouldn't want to. He would probably get his name taken.
The only one who gets really angry at is when people go Kenny Hinkley.
Yeah. What do you mean Ken Hinkley sucks? I mean, the Ken Hinkley hate's a bit much. I'll agree with him. But, I think it is a bit funny. And, I mean, he does call out Port Adelaide occasionally, but it is few and far between. And I will say as well, considering he's, the amount of other, commentators and all that sort of stuff, absolutely fucking flog off, Collingwood and Carlton. It is a bit of fresh air that when, he calls out them decently enough, and then doesn't call out a team like Port Adelaide, which I mean, Port Adelaide have their own haters, which is fair enough.
Some of the supporters.
Yeah, exactly. But back on the KO stuff, I agree with you that it should be someone that's pretty knows what they're doing, knows how to call a game. And this isn't just to say for me, but if it is someone who was a VFL commentator, I'd be
it's really the easy way.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like not even I'm not saying Jason Alexander's going for the role or anything. The Channel 7 guy does occasionally, I think Saturday nights on 7. That's not the type of VFL commentator I'm talking about. VFL commentators that they have every now and then on the broadcast of their show on the AFL website. I still think that's a bit of an off call, to be honest. It's not a bad call. I mean, if they get the call and they're decent at it, fair enough. But I think it's they surely would have a couple of phone calls. They'd have a couple of numbers around that they could potentially get themselves in to get an interview.
Yeah.
So I feel like someone that's a content creator or something that actually has shown good talent. There's a couple of I've seen that have done pretty decently that do it. There's a guy on. I'm going to look him up because I don't want to be rude and just... It's something Burnouts. I can't remember his name. But his name's something Burnouts. He's pretty decent at it as well. The Burnout. Idiot. How did I not remember that? He's pretty good at it. I think he put in an application for it and, that'd be awesome. I do hope they don't go with, an 18-year-old kid or something.
I don't.
If it's an 18 and he has some talent for it, good on him. Give him a go. But if it's just this 18-year-old kid because he's an 18-year-old kid, we want to pick someone young who's that's pretty crap. But I mean, if they pick someone who put in a good resume, who has experience in calling games as well and applications and stuff, give them a go. Have a good go at it. I think it's a great opportunity. I like the idea.
I at least want someone who knows the game, knows what they're talking about, and knows most of the players' names. That's what I want. Most of the bloody Victorian people who do it on Saturday don't even know the name of the West Australian players.
Yeah.
That's what's sort of annoying, that when you get those sort of those commentators commentating a West Australian game and they don't know half the players. It's you want someone who knows the players' names.
Or at least has at least will fucking go and study the names at the very least. I think that with this new media bargaining deal, it looks like Channel 7 have made some really good calls on some new, I wouldn't even say new talent, but just bringing in some, good heads on it. Nick Rewalt, despite him as a player looking like a bit of a sook, he's a pretty entertaining commentator and has some pretty good calls and takes. Kane Corns, he's basically taken over Channel 7. He's got a new show. He's on 2 new shows. One that's basically his own, and then one that's like their footy classified call.
With Nick Rowell.
Yeah, it was like that. That's their footy classified, basically. And then he's going to be on call for 1 game a week, I'm assuming. It's like
I think he would do Friday nights.
Yeah. He may even do 2 games. I mean, this guy's going to be the new... He won't be calling the games, but he'll be the expert commentator. And that's what he's there for. He's basically taken over Channel 7. He's going to be getting paid a fucking mint to be there. So, and he's already bloody doing, his annoying little tidbits or whatever now, just on Channel 7. He hasn't changed his form. So, yeah. But yeah, they've made some other good calls as well. And Channel 7, Fox Footy and Kayo and that, they've basically been the leader for a while now. But basically since Bruce McAvaney and Dennis Committee have sort of retired, and I don't know what the fuck they've done with Brian Taylor. They've like neuralized him or something. He sounds like he's fucking a robot. I'll be interested to see next year if they've like told him, you go back to your live and up self. Because even when there were times where he went like it was a bit over the top, and you're like, shut up, BT. At least he was trying to entertain people. Like, there was times last year when you were like, are you watching footy or are you watching, like, golf? Like, this is an entertaining sport, one of the most entertaining sports in the world. Could you fucking show some sort of excitement, BT, for fuck's sake? Yeah. And same thing with, like, James Brayshaw. And the annoying thing about that is you hear them on Triple M and they're actually fucking excited. So it's clearly a Channel 7 thing, which it really annoys me because it's like, yeah, you're still quite funny. You're not, like, your personality isn't gone. You're just fucking muting it.
Yeah.
So turn it up a bit. Fuck. Anyway, so I hope with the Kayo Call Up they pick someone who's like, I'm not saying that to be fucking perfect either. Like, that's stupid. If you think they're fucking going to be perfect, like, sorry, you've got many other commentators on the calls most of the time now that are fucking up all the time anyway. So as long as they make, entertaining calls most of the time, they don't fuck up too often. As long as they're not fucking up every fucking quarter, I don't really have an issue with it, to be honest. And, I feel like as well, if it is someone that is a content creator who does it like me or like other people, they usually do it on a live stream with live people commenting and stuff, and they do it, for 3 hours straight away, like all by themselves. Like, these guys, the commentators, like the AFL commentators got it fucking easy. It's us who struggle. No, but I'm kidding. I mean, obviously that's going to be interesting how they would get into the environment as well. So I think it's a really cool prospect, and no matter who gets it, I hope they take it with both hands and they do really well with it. And if it's me, there'll probably be a few Valet videos. I'll be fucking honest. And the podcast, I may have to taper a couple of things that I say for a few weeks. Just a few weeks, all right? When the job's off, I will rip and shred, and I will call out every single commentator that I didn't like. No, I won't, because I want the job again. But anyway, guys, that's basically going to end it here for this episode of the Boundary Riders podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you listen to us over on Spotify, make sure to leave us 5 stars, and make sure to... What's the other thing? Leave us 5 stars and follow. Don't worry, I got it. So you can get notified every single episode. I think it's episode 90 now. So we're nearly at the 100. We're nearly raising the bat and, running down the pitch and, to the 10 fans that watch Test cricket now because it's fucking dead apparently. Anyway, and if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. Of course, thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for watching. John Longmire, had a career. Great job. Love you. One of the top 3 moments of my life was watching the Sydney Swans Grand Final in 2012. So congratulations to you. But for now, guys, we'll catch you all next week.
See you later, guys.